Rodman Gomez. Hey, friend.
You all right?
Yeah.
Ask Rodman.
Yeah, Rodman, you good, dude? You good? Everything good? Hey, Alan. Everybody wants to know. Uh-oh, somebody's here.
Is he on?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Are you going to add him in, Kevin, or would you like me to?
I have just clicked invite. He has to accept the
You got to accept invite.
Tell him to click on his picture and turn the camera on.
Click on your picture and turn on the camera.
And the microphone.
Hey.
Hey! How are you?
Good. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. OMG,
Right.
I'm so excited.
He's got a studio
I'm
and everything.
so excited. Look at your studio and everything. You're so fancy. I'm just in my living room with my blanket.
I'm in the barn.
You're in the barn. That's the barn?
The recording studio.
Part of it.
That's part of it?
Our camper.
Yeah, my camper is my recording studio. I get it. I totally get it. Yeah. You have to know, okay, I'm gonna cool it. Okay. I'm not gonna look at you when I say this. All right. So just don't even. All right. I've told Kevin this has been wild, the people I've met. I'm not gonna look at you. This is wild, the people that I've met just doing something that I've loved to do. But I'm so thankful that of the people that I've gotten to meet and that I've respected for so long. And you're one of them. I'm not looking at you. All right. So I'm really thankful. Thank you for pouring into me. Thank you for that.
My pleasure.
Yeah, because I think you're super smart, and you turn out to be like I told you this before. You did not meet my my perception at all, which that's been really funny to me. You went offline. Hang on, what happened?
I don't know. I gotta say real quick, there is about a 2-second delay between you and him.
Okay.
So when y'all talk, or when y'all need an answer or give the other time to answer, just cut it and wait, because they're gonna.
Okay. So go ahead and add him again.
All right, I've got him added back on.
Okay. Okay, there we go. Now you're back.
He's got to turn.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. All right. So, like I was saying, I've told you this before. I had this perception of you, and it was really funny how you did not meet that perception at all. And I think that's really
good.
Yeah, it was really funny because I heard Marine and I thought about my pawpaw, who was he was a pain in the butt. Okay. Like,
I can do that.
You can do that? Are you a pain in the butt?
Yeah.
To the right people?
Yeah, I think yeah.
like he used to make fun of my mama, she said, when she was pregnant with me and my brother and sister. He used to say, God, Kathy, you're as big as a barn and whatever. And he used to give my daddy heck all the time and whatever. Yeah. Yeah, so he was kind of a hard, I won't say the other word, but he was something else. So that's what I think in my head. He joined the Marines when he was 15 years old, lied about his age, and he was something else. So I had that in my head when you said you were a Marine. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we were talking back and forth. I thought, oh, he's just so nice. Yeah. Yeah. So have other people like have you encountered that before?
No, not that anyone said to me.
Oh, really?
Not that I recall.
Not that you recall?
No.
No? Okay. All right. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. But I'm an extrovert though, so have you guessed that?
Yeah, I kind of figured that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it might have scared Amber to death.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a little bit. Just a hair. But when we were in Montgomery that day, me and Toby, on the other hand, we were like, have you ever seen Step Brothers? No, of course you haven't, because you don't watch TV or movies.
No, I've seen that.
You've seen Step
Oh,
Brothers. You love Step Brothers. Okay. Where him and the other two, they were like best friends. And that was me and Toby Stover.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've met her once
Toby's
before.
awesome.
She's so much fun. So, unfortunately, we were not very mature during that meeting. It was very hard for us to hide our faces during that APOST meeting. So, when they announced that they intended to revoke Ralphie Wiggums and Slicky Nicky Thickneck Baby Gap's APOST, I was sitting like this, and then I had to hide my face up against the wall. I looked kind of like the Grinch.
Yeah. Evil grin.
Yeah. Just a little bit. And I told Toby, I said, I've got to look professional. And she was like, yes. Yes, very professional. So yeah, me and Toby were like two little kids that day. So yeah, if I talk your ear off, I'm very sorry.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I'm looking at some of we're already getting questions.
Yes. And I told Kevin, I said, just you look through the comments. If any questions, I know they're dying laughing. I know. The Jesus First, she jumps in my comments a lot. Her name's Georgia. Yeah, I know she's already making fun of me. Like, not you, not an extrovert, not you. They're used to me yapping. That's what I am, a professional yapper. I think that makes me a good teacher. So yeah.
Yeah.
I know they're super excited to hear me talk your ear off, I guess. But I find you super, super interesting. So I'll quit talking.
Thank you. I don't find myself very interesting.
there is a delay.
There's a delay.
There's about a 2-second delay between the two of y'all. So when y'all need to switch over to the other one talking, leave a little bit of dead air.
Yeah. So what do you think, like, people might be shocked to hear about you?
Mm-hmm.
Because they hear more from Amber than they do from you.
Yeah. Because I don't know. I'm more of a behind the scenes kind of person. Mm-hmm. This is really outside of the box for me. Even the few videos that I have done, like on YouTube, the 41 Souls video seems to be the one that everyone really remembers. That's where me and Amber have a lot in common. Neither one of us care to have a camera in our face.
I love it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind. I guess I probably would have 20 years ago, but
what's the difference?
I don't know. I'm not out to impress anyone now. I don't care. I am what I am. If you don't like it, go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know that. I don't know what people what might surprise them, other than like you were saying. I mean, I was a Marine. I was what you picture. I wasn't one that hid out, you know, on the air wing or spent my time changing oil in 5-ton trucks. I was ground combat element. I don't know if you can see my weird lamp back there. That's a AT-4 anti-tank rocket launcher. Everyone gets to shoot the AT-4. I shot the Dragon, which is a wire-guided missile, anti-tank missile. I did that for a little while. Then they replaced the Dragon with the Javelin, and I didn't learn the Javelin. So, but yeah, I think I got all of that out of my system. Maybe that's the difference. It does come back. I can flip that switch if and when I need to. Amber's seen that on more than one occasion. But generally, I guess I unconsciously try not to meet that stereotype. I think the education has a lot to do with it. I was blessed to have the time to pursue higher education while I was in. It got interrupted several times. 9/11 was the big one. I had to stop taking classes for a while after that. But in total, I think I spent about 15 or 16 years in university. That probably surprises people. I still joke about eating crayons, but I think I'm past that. Yeah, I mean, I joined the Marine Corps late, too. I think I was 24 when I enlisted. Already had our first son when I went to boot camp. So, yeah, I don't know. What else do you want to know?
You did a lot of cool things, though. I think.
Yeah, I have.
Like, you've told me things, and I think you forget, like, just how, like, immediately when you told me, I was like, Kevin, like, oh my gosh, and you're like, eh. And to me, like the layperson, I'm over here like, I get up, I teach little bitties, I come home, I get up again, I teach little bitties, I come home again, and then true crime has always been like something I enjoy reading about and learning about, and I even took some classes in college where I did forensic photography for no good reason other than just to learn about it, which is a good reason, just to learn, and to learn, blood spatter and the impressions that your head's going to make when you go through a windshield, that kind of thing. So I mean, that's good enough reason to me. Somebody asked where you were based.
Me?
Mm-hmm.
All over. I was on active duty for 12 years. I've been everywhere. I was on the first deployment on ship. I was on the USS Nassau. About a year later, I was on the USS Shreveport. Both of those are boxes of razor blades now. Stationed in Japan for a good while. I was never permanently stationed on the West Coast. I did go to San Diego to recruiter school for a very, very short period of time. Other than that, Camp Lejeune was really my home base. My last duty station was in Washington, D.C. I was one of the senior enlisted for the Chemical Biological Incident Response Force. I had several jobs while I was there. That was where I left the Marine Corps when I finished that tour. Not really by my choice. I got injured, so I was medically separated. I spent the last year of my career on Quantico, running the rifle ranges. I actually lived on Quantico during the week. I had an RV, and I lived out behind the DEA training facility on Quantico. And yeah, but I was stationed just about everywhere, or I went just about everywhere. I may not have been stationed there, but I was one of the first Marines at Guantanamo when the detainees were flown in. I got there about 6 hours before the second plane full of detainees arrived. Yeah, I've guarded dignitaries and political figures in D.C. Got to guard the Pope when he came to D.C. One time. And yeah, it's crazy stuff like that. I spent time at non-Marine Corps bases. One of them's in Canada. I went to Canada a few times. I can't really talk a whole lot about that one. There's a reason we went to Canada. There's certain things that I did that you couldn't do in the U.S. So, but the Canadians didn't care apparently. So, Nevada. I lived in Mercury, Nevada, where all of the nuclear weapons were tested. I lived out there for, it was over 30 days that I was living in Mercury and doing stuff on the test site. Yeah, just wild stuff. I feel like I had a good career. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Somebody asked what got you into private investigating.
Yeah, that's a good question too. So what got you into, and I was going to ask that. So what got you into private investigating?
So there were elements of what I did, especially at my last duty station, that that are kind of in that path. I was one of the things we were responsible for doing is collecting evidence, anti-terrorism events, if a bombing or anthrax mailings going to senators in DC and that kind of stuff. We were the ones that you can't just send a cop in there without the proper PPE to collect evidence and maintain chain of custody and stuff like that. That was one of the responsibilities of the team that I was in charge of, and so we did a lot of that. We also, and I think I've mentioned it to you, actually before I joined the Marine Corps, I kind of started my adult career in the fire service down in Montgomery, and a lot of that came back as far as being important because we also had the mission of rescuing people if they were affected by some kind of terrorism event or chemical, biological, high yield explosive, that kind of thing. So I was doing a lot of that in the DC area. When I got out of the Marine Corps, I stayed in the DC area for a decade, continuing to do that sort of stuff. That's actually what led me to one of my master's degrees is in emergency management. So that was kind of my stepping stone, I guess, to leaving active duty, to try and capitalize on all the training and experience that I had while I was in DC on active duty, and then carry it forward. So we did a lot of chain of custody, collecting evidence, the forensic photography, like you were talking about, that kind of stuff, were big tasks that we trained on. So, but really, and I don't want to give too much of this away because I'm in the middle of writing a podcast of my own, and it's starting with kind of my origin story. So, which took place up there around DC, in particular in Virginia. So, after I got out, the contacts and stuff that I had, and some of the things that I had been doing while I was on active duty, and even afterwards, working with Virginia Task Force 1 for urban search and rescue and stuff like that. There was a major missing persons case that there just wasn't enough law enforcement to cover the massive area that needed to be searched, looking for this girl. And I was one of the ones that they contacted and asked me, hey, we know your credentials. I'd already worked with all those people before anyway. And they knew that I was vetted. You know, I'm not a bad guy. So they want to know if I could come in as part of a team to help do that search. So I did. I went. There were, it was me and 33, I think it was 33 other people on my team. And the girl had been missing for over a month when we put boots on the ground. And about midday on day 3, we found her. Deceased, unfortunately, but we kind of knew that we were doing a recovery operation, not a rescue. So still sad, but that guy, thanks to that, I want to say he's got 7 or 8 life sentences. He will never see the outside of prison. And we had to find that girl's body for them to be able to prosecute him for that. It wasn't just for her. He was a serial rapist and serial murderer. So that's what, if there's one event that really, I guess, changed the gears for me from focusing on emergency management stuff, it was that. Because, I mean, it's one thing to help people in a time of disaster that is, you know, fulfilling work if you have a heart like I do. But dealing with that family every day, seeing them every morning and every evening, after we finished our assignments and, you know, we were searching and listening to them talk about their daughter and stuff like that, it really impacted me. It made me want to focus more on doing that, putting the training and experience that I did have into something like that. So when I moved back to Alabama, which was not too many years after that, I moved back to Alabama. I'm originally from Montgomery, but when I came back, I got my private investigator license and started to do that. For a while, I did it full time. I had my own company. I think a lot of people know that already that have been following Secrets True Crime. COVID-19 really hurt though. When they closed the courts in particular, they closed every court in the state. And when there's no court cases going, I've got nothing I can do. You know, I can still go out and, you know, do surveillance on someone or, you know, follow a cheating spouse all the way to Georgia and take pictures of them at a strip club, but it wasn't going to go to court. So that's a true story.
I can imagine.
And honestly, that was the kind of stuff I really didn't like. That's how me and Amber met, because that paid the bills, but that wasn't, I mentioned a second ago, fulfilling. Mm-hmm. I'm real big on doing things that make me feel like I'm helping people. Mm-hmm. and give me that feeling like I've been able to give them, you know, some kind of hope or peace or closure or something. And chasing cheating spouses all over the state, that you don't give anybody, I mean, they need to know, and maybe after the divorce, maybe there's some fulfillment there, but it wasn't what I wanted. And
yeah.
So I had started looking at cold cases around where I was, which at the time was in Prattville, just north of Montgomery. And initially I already knew a lot about the Shannon Paulk case in Prattville. The reason that I didn't move forward with doing anything on her case was because the lead investigator on that case, a very good friend of mine, we used to be partners, and I felt like that was just going to be too messy. And I don't like working in my own backyard. So, like I said, my office was in Prattville. That case is in Prattville. So I started looking at, adjacent areas. And when I read about the Susan Osborne case, that really bothered me, and I really felt like there were things that could be done on it. It especially interests me because the only suspect in that case was military. He was an Air Force cop, and I felt like that gave me some additional insight into it, as far as psychology, his psychology, and things like that. So I reached out to the family, and they were just ecstatic, that I wanted to, talk to the sheriff and see if there was anything I can do. And they immediately said, well, we've got this girl that is doing a podcast on the case right now. She's about to release, or had just released her first episode. I had no idea what a podcast was. Never been around it, never listened to one, had no idea. But me and Amber ended up talking online over the computer, trading information, and her bringing me up to speed on all the work. She had already done a lot of research and interviews and talked to people and stuff like that. And I think that, if I'm not mistaken, the first time me and Amber actually met, it was on a search, for an evidence search, where the crime happened. We couldn't, the suspect still lived at the house. He still owned that property. There was no way we were going to get on that property, but he had burned almost everything in the house right after she was finally reported missing. And some of the burning that he did was actually off of the property he owned. So I was able to get consent from other property owners and put together a plan, wrote it all up, ran it by the sheriff, and he was great with it. Thought it was excellent. So we did that. I actually used I used a bunch of Marine poolees. So these are people that have signed a contract. They have signed up to join the Marine Corps, but they haven't shipped to boot camp yet. So they're not actually Marines, but they have to report into the recruiter ever so often. They show up, and do PT together in the mornings, and get these. They're mostly kids. Get them ready to go to boot camp. Real neat thing about being a gunnery sergeant in the Marine Corps. I'll walk into a recruiting office and say, hey, I've got this plan. This is what I want to do. I need 10 people. Can you give me 10 people? And that's what we did. So we got a bunch of soon-to-be Marines. There were actually a couple of them that they had already finished boot camp, and they were on leave back home. And so we had them out there as well. I don't remember how many people we had. I think it was 10 or 15 people in this search party. We had a cadaver dog come down from Birmingham. And but anyway, long story short, I'm pretty sure that's the first time me and Amber met face to face. And it's been a roller coaster since then. We've had a lot of laughs.
I bet. Did you think when you met her, like, just what she was fixing to rope you into?
No, not at all. Not at all. I don't, and I'll go out on a limb and say I don't think she realized what I was bringing to the party either. 'Cause,
or then what Toby was about to rope you both into.
Toby is a mess. I mean,
she is. Oh my goodness.
There are so many times Amber and I both have probably scared Toby more times than anybody, and had her thinking to herself, what have I gotten these two into?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think her favorite story, I think, is, we went up to Walker County, met with Toby. People have seen those photographs of me and Amber sitting at the table, talking to Toby and Chris, and basically getting all the background on Eric's case and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure it was the next day we went back up there. We were ready to work. We were ready to go. And we went up there, and Toby knew we were coming, but we didn't really have a solid plan. We knew we wanted to do X, Y, and Z, but we may not be able to do X, so we'll go right to Y and then come back and try and do X, that kind of thing. And that's what happened. We were going to meet with one of the municipality chief of police and talk with him, and he wasn't in. And I kind of felt like it's funny because I think Amber and I both felt like he was maybe gaffing us off. He didn't want to deal with whatever a podcaster is. Yeah. Turned out to be one of the best relationships with law enforcement that I've ever had. He's very down to earth. But anyway, so we left there and decided, well, let's go and try and do some interviews. Let's go knock on some doors. So here's me and Amber, like a couple of idiots that just fell off a turnip truck. We parked our cars on the side of York Mountain, and we're just walking up and down the road.
They told me.
And at one point, Toby called Amber and said, well, what are y'all doing? And Amber told her, we're out here on such and such road. And Toby's like, by yourself? And we're like, yeah. And Amber's like, well, Michael's with me. And she's like, there's nobody else with you, and y'all are walking around on York Mountain asking people questions about a murder. Yes, ma'am. Are you at least armed? Well, yeah, we're armed. But she's like, get back to your cars and go somewhere else. And we turn around and start walking. And a couple of minutes later, she's still on the phone with Toby. And Toby's like, are you at your car yet? And Amber's like, well, no, we've been walking for like half a mile. It's going to take us a little bit to get back to our cars. And Toby's about to lose her mind. She's like, what have I done? I've sent these two, right into the fire. And, but it turned out to be a productive trip, because on that walk back, the mail lady came by and was delivering mail. And I just walked up and stopped her. And I'm like, who lives here? Who lives over there?
Yeah.
Who might know about this, and
yeah. Yeah. They told me that story in Montgomery that day, and Toby she was about to bust. She was laughing so hard. And Amber said, I think everybody in the community was hiding behind their curtains. They must have thought we were the FBI or something. And Toby said, she said there was like a car theft ring in that area. And she said, I swear, she said, they must have thought they were the FBI. That's the only reason why they didn't get the rims taken off their car that day. But that was hilarious. That was so funny. Yeah. And, but yeah, I'm getting tickled at the comments, because already said, somebody said, he's handsome and smart. I don't mean to make you blush. You're getting hit on the comments, and then people said some great questions and everything. It's tickled me.
Somebody said, I'm scrolling through the viewers to see which one's Nick's fake account.
Yeah, they're looking for Nick's fake accounts. Like it's been a hoot in the comments already. But yeah. But I was hoping you would tell that story. That's such a hoot. Oh my goodness.
There's even more. There's more to that story that, in order to properly tell it, I would have to reveal some names, and I can't do that right now. But
right.
We ended up driving on someone's property. Had no idea where we were. I mean, we took a wrong turn. Actually, Google gave us bad. It said turn right. We should not have turned right. That was not a road. That was someone's driveway.
Yeah.
And it was probably the way Toby reacted to that. She wasn't on the phone for that one.
Yeah.
But,
she told us that day. She told me that day. She said that she was, of course, and I understand this feeling when people show up and after everything that had happened, that she wasn't sure like how much information to give, and she didn't want y'all to get hurt, and then she just wasn't sure. And even Amber said she was kind of reluctant, but then she also said she wanted to give y'all a notebook of the family trees in Walker County. And I even said, I said, man, people tell me stuff, and I'm like, you act like I'm supposed to know who that is, who's related to who and how the family trees cross and everything. But they do, they cross so often.
And I'm not saying this to be, ugly about anyone, because it's the same way for me. If I'm honest, they aren't family trees. A lot of them. It's more like kudzu. It just goes everywhere. That's my family.
Yes. But I also understand when you said too, you try to stay out of your own backyard because it's a risky thing to do. And it is. It's a risky thing to do. Yeah, he was saying Amber's in the comments too, so I'm saying that too. Yeah. And like I said, she's got to know, people flip out. I've told you this, I've told her this, that comment that people made the first time she wound up in my comments, everybody be cool, in all caps. Like, people love you. Alabama Cold Case Advocates. They're watching. They're in the comments. They love you. They love Amber. That they love you. It's funny. Somebody, I won't name names, won't point no fingers, said that I was a meddler, and I'm going, nobody would say that about you. Y'all better check yourselves. But nobody would say that about Amber. You better check yourselves. But it tickled me. They don't come after Kevin. You better check yourselves. But it tickled me a lot. But I agree. It brings a whole lot of satisfaction to think that you've helped somebody, like in a personal kind of way. And I don't know. I've told you this. I don't know what I'm doing. I feel like I'm kind of feeling my way through the dark here. But as Kevin says, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing. And people say if it's worth doing right, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. And I'm like, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing. You just got to get up and do it. And when you do it, you do it better the next time, and then you do it better the next time. So I'm kind of feeling my way through the dark here. And at the end of the day, it's not my level of expertise, but I do care. So we've talked about this. I have family in Walker County, and I have for generations. I spent a lot of time in Walker County fishing with my great-grandmother, and she had chicken houses. And I can remember one chick getting out one time, and she couldn't put it back in. So me and my cousin took it home and tried to raise it, and it died. I mean, because we didn't know what we were doing then. We didn't know you had to put it under a heat lamp. That poor thing. So I spent a lot of time in Walker County fishing and doing everything. My papa called it God's country. So I care a lot about people there. So they deserve better. But
said in the comments that all these missing people in Walker County have friends in common.
Yeah. I'm listening to Kevin read the comments. So,
Yeah,
so
and they do. I saw that comment too, and that's one of the things that we've talked about. And I want to say we actually had this conversation with someone that we were interviewing at one point. I don't think it's occurred to a lot of that group, especially in the Empire Coon Creek area of Walker County. Their normal is not normal, and what I mean by that is you can find one individual and start talking to them about missing people and people getting killed and stuff, and they'll start naming off people that they know, people they went to school with, and they've got to pick up another hand a lot of times. And I'm like, do you realize that's not normal? I had a career in a field where we were supposed to be dying. I know a lot of Marines that didn't come back, but I can't sit there and name, that's not normal. That's not right. And for all of them to be unresolved, that doesn't make that's not right. That indicates.
yeah, and just like, he's saying, he's my moderator over there, he's saying, it's only unresolved because out of laziness, don't care, because they find these people to be expendable, as I call it, because they're in addiction, they have charges, they want to use them for something else, and money's being exchanged and all that kind of stuff. But to go back to the very beginning, though, I appreciated how you and Amber went in, and it was with the best of intentions. It was with a clean slate. It was, when I listened to the podcast, and actually, it was with Hang on one second. He's reading a comment from Alabama Cold Case Advocacy. I'll come back to that. I had somebody come by the house. We had just set up a pool. It was 2020, or around that area, I think. I can't remember. Anyway, we had just put up a pool, and somebody came by the house, and they were buying some pool steps from us. And they were talking about the Maxine Beaverbach case, and actually it was somebody who was a dispatcher in a different sheriff's office. And she was telling me all about Maxine, and she said, you really need to listen to this podcast. And so I said, okay. And so, like I've said before, if this is Walker County, we're right there on the outskirts, right? Okay. So all this stuff bleeds in my backyard, and I'm begging these people to be an advocate for me now. So I take a listen to the podcast, and I appreciated how y'all went in with the best of intentions. We knew Toby before. She'd actually come by the house to buy some chickens one time. It's always either a goat or a chicken, right? So, and this was before Eric got murdered. And so we knew her from before, from just a coincidence meeting. But, and Kevin's like a elephant. He remembers everything. And I'm a squirrel, and I forget everything, but then I remembered. But, so this woman comes by, she tells us about the podcast. I listened to it. I appreciate how y'all went in with a clean slate after I had heard about missing cases, Carrie Lawson, all these generational things. The same way how people from Jefferson County hear about Coleman County and say, I'll never go there because of systemic racism and that kind of thing. And, but people who hear about Walker County, you better not go in the woods because, pigs will eat everything except for the shoes and the teeth, that kind of thing. The whole name nailed to the tree, that kind of thing. So, so I listened to the podcast. I liked how y'all went in with the open, clean slate, open eyes, everything. And then once y'all found out more about Walker County Sheriff's Office, we listened to it, and I'm telling you, he's listening to it at work. I'm listening to it on the way to work, and we both were like texting each other going, did you hear that? Did you hear that? Did you listen to this? And this is people we know. These are deputies we know. These are places we frequent. This is This is personal.
Roads we drive
These
on.
are roads we drive on. So, I mean, we shop there. So when I tell you deputies that we know, these are deputies that our friends are married to. That were married to. So this it was wild to us. It was wild to us to listen to. And so taking what y'all did, and then it was like a race car. It just took off. And so then from there, it's kind of like it's like it just fermented, and it sat there for the longest time. And then something just clicked. I don't know what happened in my baby brain. And I must have lost my mind this year. I don't know what happened. And I just started posting about stuff. I don't know what's wrong with me, Michael. I don't know. And I just started posting. You ever think sometimes I must have lost my mind? I dove into a swamp. And it's like, well, might as well. You know, I'm here now. Might as well. You know, you get to a point, like you said, I guess, earlier when you were saying, I'm old and I don't care and I might as well just, you know.
Somebody said, what do y'all think happened to Maxine?
Somebody said, what do we think happened to Maxine? Is that even something we want to dive into? Because I don't even know if I want to give that opinion in a public forum.
I'm not going to make too much of a comment on
Right.
it because it's an open investigation that is still being worked, and I know that for a fact. So, but if someone tried to tell you that she just left the state, hitchhiked her way back to California or something like that, no.
Right.
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't believe that for a second either.
Yeah, that's there are a lot of cases, and one of the things I hope that everyone understands, because I've seen some of the comments, you know, can't wait for the next podcast and stuff like that. With Eric's case, obviously, as soon as the Attorney General's office took the case and actually started doing work on it, we stopped with the podcast. We didn't stop doing what we had been doing, but we quit instead of putting it out into a podcast for everyone, anything we found got written up and went to the AG's office. And it's hard. You cannot just focus on Eric Cates, because all of that, it's all tied to, like someone said earlier, it's the same groups. You know, it's these social groups, they overlap, and people are part of the same ones, and you know, there's missing people and deaths and overdoses and stuff like that in all of them. So, and Maxine's just one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Maxine and Denton may be completely unrelated, but they were in the same social groups, you know. And until we see what may or may not happen on those cases, you know, we don't want to say too much, because we don't want to mess up an investigation, and more importantly, a court trial,
Mm-hmm.
by revealing stuff that is really important. And the unfortunate part about doing these cases the way we do it, we find those things, which is what boggled my mind, and I think Amber's mind too, in Walker County, was if the two of us are able to go out here and talk to people, we call them interviews, we're just talking, you know. I don't Mirandize anybody. I don't threaten them with jail time. I don't have that power, you know. I'm just, hey, this is me. Yeah, I look like a cop, but I'm not one, all right? I just want to know about X, Y, and Z. And when we start doing that, and we're learning stuff that no one's ever heard before on the case. I mean, I call it willful negligence. Because I cannot, if it were one or two things here and there, maybe somebody wasn't trained or wasn't experienced enough, they missed this, or no. We're talking about you had to try to not know what was going on here. Randy Hicks, I think, was the first case that we actually said something along those lines, because we had been told about it. We didn't know. We don't know Randy. We didn't know any of his family. We hadn't talked to any of them yet or anything. And people start telling us that, Randy was murdered right after Eric, or he died. He died. Well, how did he die? Well, the cops showed up. They were having a party at this place, and the cops showed up, and a bunch of them ran off in the woods like they do to hide from the cops, and Randy never came out. When they found him, he had fallen off a cliff and, died or whatever. Well, I want to see this. Let's go out there. We get consent from the property owner and go out there. There ain't no freaking cliff. That was the first. Me and Amber are standing out in the woods looking at each other going, where's the cliff? I'm like, okay, it's a hill, but the trees are this far apart. If you're drunk on the side of that hill in the middle of the night and you fell, you're not going to get to the bottom. You're going to roll 10 feet and be, wedged up against a tree. None of the story that everyone had been told made zero sense when you walk out there. So yeah. I see that Kurt doesn't own the property where it actually happened. Kurt's property line ends, and it's where he was actually found is owned by Empire Coke. So the old coal company.
People keep asking me to make a video about Maxine, and I'm like, and I keep saying the same thing. I'm like, look, I've talked to her sister, and I've told her, I'm like, look, if I can do anything to help, first of all, I'm just a random goober, okay? I say it all the time. I'm a random goober with a cell phone, and I would love to help. I would love to, truly. I care about it so deeply, and everybody wants to hear her case. I would love to. However, I don't want to do more hurt than help. And if there's details, because there's so many rumors involved in that case, people love to talk. People love to say things that are hurtful, and they don't mean to. They don't mean to. But if it was your sister, if it was your daughter, it would be hurtful to say. It would be hurtful to say those things. And it would hurt your feelings if somebody was saying those things about your daughter or about your sister. And I don't want to confirm or deny because it's not my business to say. And at the end of the day, if it's going to hurt something, I don't want to say it. And I just don't even want to make that video at all. I don't want to say anything at all if it's going to hurt something. And eventually I want that to be solved. Do you think it's going to be solved? You think it's going to be a resolution?
I think it can be. It's going to take the same level of effort that it took on Eric's case to get where we are today. A lot of that's because it's been so long. A lot of it is just like in Eric's case. I don't know what they've got in the case file. They had, I forget, Toby, was it 7 binders? I think it was 7. If they've got 7 binders on Maxine, if it's like Eric, and I would expect it is, there's probably some gold in there that needs to be really looked at. And there's a whole lot of people just shoving papers in a binder to look like they work.
I've got private messages and seen in the comments. People want us to ask him about a zip line.
A zip line?
So there was a zip line off of the back porch where this party was, where the cops pulled up, and Randy was one of the ones there.
Okay.
There was a zip line off the back porch that went down into the woods. Just, I guess, basically for that purpose. I'm sure they probably, it's probably fun to do anyway, but
it's a getaway car.
Yeah. We have been told that a lot. When we went out there, it was no longer there.
Okay.
So yeah.
That's interesting.
And it kind of makes sense if you know the lay of the land and the geography of that area, that part of Coon Creek, and then where the mining operations were, and the old mining roads that went to those operations. The zip line thing, if you needed to escape into the woods really quickly and get to a point where in the middle of the dark you could find your way, that it was a perfect setup for that.
That's not too shabby, actually.
There's old hidden roads.
No, it's genius.
Really. Yeah, actually, that's
because that old mining road that's back there, it doesn't really connect to any well-traveled paths anymore. But if you know the area, you can go to the bottom of that. There's basically a little valley back behind that property, with hills on both sides, and the zip line supposedly came right down into the bottom of that, and maybe 50 feet, 100 feet, there's an old mining road, and it comes out in another area that is pretty frequently visited, and a lot of bottle shaking used to go on out there and stuff like that. So
okay.
Probably still does, for all I know. But they weren't doing it, thankfully, when we were out there. But
yeah, can you imagine if y'all wandered up on that when all your wanderings?
I'm sure that we have inadvertently interrupted a lot of normal practice when we were on a regular basis snooping around out there.
And they thought you were the FBI.
We've had everything. Yeah. And the same thing up in Marion County with the Jessica Hamby case. We approached that the same way. Now, I was actually doing some work on the Jessica Hamby case while we were investigating Eric and Gypsy's case in Walker County and still producing podcasts and stuff. I had already done some work on Jessica's case, and that was one of the reasons we did some work on Jessica's case for our third season, because we knew we needed to hold off on talking about new developments with Eric's case, because the AG's office was, knee deep in basically vetting everything that we had given them and moving forward with it. So, and already had a lot of information on Jessica's case. So we turned to doing that, but we approached it the same way. And we were doing the same thing. We'd call, we'd message persons of interest on Facebook, try to talk to them. They're all suspicious. They all think, we're cops trying to trick them or whatever. And we just have to pick a day and drive up there and just pull up in their driveway, knock on the door. And
did the family of Jessica Hamby already know who you were?
Yeah.
They did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
See, it tickled me with Amber, and I've already told her this. I've told you this, I think. How she still doesn't think she's recognizable.
I think she knows better.
She does know better. She should know better. I said, girl, be so for real. I said, I could pick your voice out of a lineup, yours and Toby's both. But I'm like, everybody in Walker County could pick you out of a lineup. Like, that's ridiculous. And it tickled her a little bit, but I think it embarrassed her more than anything. But with me, I think it's my hair more than anything that it's a standout thing. But her for sure. I'm like, I think you're recognized, especially in Walker County. It's just a thankfulness that y'all did what you did. But yeah, she might as well deal with it. She couldn't go anywhere. But she said I'm far more recognizable because I'm a loudmouth. Okay, that's it. But contrary to popular belief, I do have some discretion. People don't understand that, and I've said it before that Nick doesn't understand just how fair I can be. Okay, I have been far more fair to him than he thinks, than he would even realize. It's painful to me. Okay, it hurts me deep in my soul. Okay, because I only put out facts about him and just a little bit of baby gaps, far less baby gaps than I want to. Okay, but yeah, it's very frustrating how I won't put anything out about his personal life or anything like that because I think that's icky and gross. Just the same thing about it's difficult for me about the deputies and whatever people want me to talk about their personal lives. Like I won't go into detail about that, but like the SROs, the deputies and whatever. And I'm like, I'm not interested in that. That just gets into the ick of whatever. It's gross. People's marriages. Ugh, it's gross. Whatever. I always say too, there's nobody involved in your marriage but you and your spouse, and you know, whatever your spouse is willing to put up with out of you and whatever you're willing to put up with out of them, that's y'all's business. But what's in the news, what the feds are indicting you for, that's all of our business. What you're catching misdemeanors for, that's all of our business, I think, personally.
It is.
But you know, what kind of SROs are in our schools, that's our business. Especially as
there's
a teacher.
There's a reason the law requires them to be certified.
Right? I mean, I can't help but think that. I'm so sorry. But
and you know, one of the things that I don't think everyone has connected all of the dots. I had a case that I was working. It was kind of sort of a custody type case, and part of the issue, number one, you couldn't serve anything to this guy because he avoided service every chance he got. He was giving, what he would do, he had this little scheme where he would find a vacant house and he would change his address with the court to the address of that vacant house, and he would go by there and pick up mail for himself. So when you would go to serve him at that address, there's no one there. Mm-hmm. It's a vacant house.
Yeah.
You know, and most people that do process service, you know, they charge a fee, and that fee gets you X number of attempts. Usually it's 3. Mm-hmm. And if they're not successful after 3 attempts, you know, if you want them to keep trying, you got to pay them another, you know, whatever, $75 or whatever. So I was after this guy for over a year. It started out just serving him papers. And this attorney called me to serve those papers because the sheriff's department had already had an opportunity. And this is not Walker County. This is Montgomery County. The sheriff's office was not able to serve him. And I think they had another process server, a private process server that wasn't able to serve him. And the attorney asked me, do you think you can get him? I went, well, give me a shot. Let me see if I can get him. And I had to treat it like I was staking out the mafia or something, but I was able to serve him. Surprised the hell out of him too. He was not prepared for that.
Surprise.
But he wouldn't go to court. Even after I served him those papers, he wouldn't go. So now somebody's got to go serve him again. And we just went through this over and over and over again for a year. At the same time, there's a court-appointed guardian that periodically needs to check on the kids. And a lot of times, you've probably seen that, the guardian ad litem can go to the school and talk to the teachers and see how the kid's doing. Well, the guardian is also supposed to do home visits. The question, obviously, was where is this kid living? Because the addresses that his dad is giving the court and everyone, there ain't nobody living there. And I wrote multiple affidavits about that to the court. I had to testify at least once in front of the judge about all of that. Anyway, long story short, talking about schools and SROs, I am not a law enforcement officer in Alabama. I've never claimed to be. I don't pretend I am one. I look like one. I drive an old police car. And there's a reason for that. That's another story. But
you are a man of surprises.
So, well, I'll go ahead and tell you that because it's real quick. I was working an overnight surveillance job in Montgomery one night, and I got shot at a lot. Oddly enough, I was parked behind the police academy when this happened. And that was one of the instances where my wife, and I think she's probably still in the room, put her foot down that I was not going to take any more jobs in Montgomery if that was going to happen. The trade-off was I found this vehicle. It still has ballistic panels in the doors. So I got it. And that's why that's my work vehicle. And it's not because of what it looks like. It's because it has ballistic panels in the door.
Not just a hat rack.
Somebody shoots me, I can get out of there and probably make it,
Smart.
So, but I say all of that. I'm not a cop. When we go out and interview people, I tell them that right up front. Usually their response is, I don't believe that, but I'll talk to you anyway. So, but as a licensed private investigator in the state of Alabama, I cannot set foot on school property with a pew-pew. Even though I have concealed carry, blah, 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 you cannot carry on a school campus in the state of Alabama. The only people that can carry on school property is law enforcement, and I'm pretty sure they have to be on official business. It can't be, well, I'm just a cop, I'm going to show up at the school. That's what bothered me about the SRO stuff. So I had to, on that case I was talking about, the guardian needed to do a home visit. The only way to find out where the home was to follow the dad after he picked up his kid from school. I said, well, I can do that, but that sounds to me like it should be the sheriff's office. The judge wrote an order to the sheriff's department telling them to accompany the guardian to the school and follow them home and stay on the scene while she conducted her home visit. part of that was for her security because she was an African American, the guardian. This was an old country white guy, and he had already threatened her and made racial slurs against her.
Yep.
The sheriff refused to send a deputy to do that. Even though there was a court order, the sheriff said that's not what my deputies are for. So the guardian asked me. I didn't work for the guardian, but the guardian asked me, would you help me with this? And I said, I will. I have no problem because I've got papers I want to serve him anyway.
Yeah.
But I can't carry on that on school campus. Mm-hmm. So I went with her to the school, waited for him to show up, approached him in his vehicle, got him out of the vehicle, walked him over to the guardian, introduced them, told him what was going to happen. And I may have said what might happen if it didn't go the way I wanted it to. And we pulled all of that off, but I had to do that unarmed because I followed the law. Mm-hmm. And then I come to find out that there's SROs armed in schools that are not even cops. No.
Right.
Absolutely not.
Right.
You know, I carried on a school campus as a reserve officer, but not in the school. It was at doing security for football games.
Yeah.
That bothered me. That really bothers me that, and everyone's unaware. You know, up until that hit the news, there were parents that are just like, oh, this is great. I feel great. I'm not worried about my kids being at school all day. And, you know, they can't have their cell phone and this, that, and the other. I feel good because I know there's a pretender in there is what it turned out to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Pretender. And the thing about it is that A-Post is like the bare minimum. You have all this really specific SRO training, and trust me, like there's so many. Like I won't go into specifics about the different things that teachers are trained to do, and how that changes from year to year to year to year. But I mean, it changes from year to year. But you know, we're not given much in the classroom to be able to protect students. But I can tell you one thing, I'm from Tarrant. I tell them kids, like, I tell them people all the time, I'm not from here. Like, I may live in the sticks now, but I'm not from here. I'm from the ghetto, okay? I would rather pay for those kids' therapy than ever go to a kid's funeral, okay? Babies turn y'all's heads, okay? They give us mag lights, these heavy mag lights. Let me tell y'all something right now. It does not have batteries in it. I'm not using it. I'm not going to use that thing. There's emergency lights in my classroom, okay? Do you really think I'm going to use it when the lights go out? I have a baseball bat too. Batter up, okay? I used to play softball for years. I'm not going to let something happen to your kids. I know the general feeling these days with teachers is I'm not about to take a pew-pew to the chest or whatever to save anybody because I'm going to go home. Yeah, I'm going to go home. But I'm not going to stand by and watch something happen to one of my students because I'm a parent too. I know what I've told my kids, you know, get out, whatever it takes to get out. You better jump through a window. I just want you to get out and run for the hills, okay? Because there's nothing worth anybody. Don't try to be a hero. Get out. You're a kid, okay? Get away. And don't try to think, you know, my son is, you know, he's all too concerned with single thing that my daughter does. He's like having a third adult in the house. He's like an old man at heart. I have to tell him all the time, calm down, she'll be fine. But he would try to do something to try to take care of our daughter. And I'm like, nope, she's fine. Okay. If anything else, she's more ghetto than you are. Okay. Calm down. But I've told them both, like, just get out. But me, myself, and I'm not fixing to let something happen to my students. They're little. And first rule in my classroom is first time every time. You better do what I say the first time every single time. If I tell you to run, you better run. And don't ask me no questions right there in the moment. Do not ask me a single question. When I tell you to line up, you better line up right then. Okay. If you can learn it for the simple things, if I tell you to get out some scissors, you better get out some scissors and say, yes, ma'am. If you can learn it for something simple, you can learn it when we're in trouble. You can learn it when the building's on fire. You can learn it when somebody comes in. And I don't mince up any words about it. I think that's important to teach kids. But so when you've got an SRO that's not trained, that's the simplest thing, a post.
And some of them
Have them a post. And it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that they're bad people. It doesn't mean that they're bad people. It means they were failed in their leadership. I feel like I'm screaming it from the rooftops. Like, it doesn't mean that they were bad people. They could have been. What do I know? I don't know these people.
I mean, even if so I've talked to people that know one or two of those SROs that were in that position. And what they've told me is that, number one, they didn't know that they were supposed to be a post to hold that position. And if they had known that, they wouldn't have agreed to do it knowing that they weren't. The other thing is that I've heard, and this makes a lot of sense to me, anybody can go on the internet and look up the law. You can see that the SRO is supposed to be a post. It's very clear. There's a lot in the Alabama Code that's clearly written by lawyers, and you've got to have a couple of master's degrees to figure out what those words mean. But that one is pretty clear. SROs have to be a post certified. But if you read that on the internet, and then you've got the sheriff of the whole daggum county that tells you, nah, you don't have to be. Don't worry about it.
Right?
Somebody in that, there's a lot of trust and confidence that goes naturally with a position. And, if it weren't a sheriff, if it were the probate judge, you would expect that he's going to have to earn his trust and confidence in that role, because there's no requirement that the probate judge be an attorney, which is mind-boggling to me. But
ain't it?
But you can get elected a probate judge, and it may depend on what county you're in, because a lot of counties have passed their own laws now. But I know when the current mayor of Montgomery, before he was mayor of Montgomery, he was a probate judge. He's not an attorney. So in order for him and his staff to trust him in that position, he's got to earn it. The sheriff doesn't work that way. You get elected sheriff, the next day, you put on the shirt, you put on the badge, you put on the gun, you're the sheriff. And what you say goes. No one's going to really question you. Some smart ass like me will, but sorry.
No,
trying to keep it rated G, but
no, you're good.
But the bottom line is, I believe that. I was told it, and I believe that if those SROs that were not certified had known, they wouldn't have accepted that position.
I believe that too.
Someone in an authority position told them, no, it's okay.
I believe that too. And it's sad to me that just like I said, it's not necessarily that they were bad people. There are some that are horrible. And just like he said, there's a couple that were retired and just coming back and either trying to, finish out or trying, there's a lot of teachers that retired and then come back. They're just not done. I can't understand that. Maybe I'll understand it when I'm retired. I don't know. Just not ready to go to the house yet or whatever. But they're not necessarily bad people. They just either didn't know or were told something different. So it's pitiful to me. But I love SROs. Love them. The ones that I've always known are just the best people ever. And now it makes you question. It makes you question the credentials of everybody, and the ones that and the parents that want to tell me, well, I feel safer with these SROs and I'm like, you don't understand. Like they weren't ever supposed to be there from the get-go, and you don't understand what it means to be a teacher in this situation. You don't understand what I've seen, where you've got parents show up that don't have custody. They're trying to kidnap their own children, like their own children that don't have custody. These parents don't have custody for a reason. That there's people that do try to get into schools that have pew-pews that shouldn't, and that are dangerous people that aren't in their right minds, that they don't understand what I've seen. That when I used to work a long time ago, way far away from where I am now, for Head Start and Pre-K. Not where I'm at now, not anything associated where I'm at now, but it was a dangerous community, and there were a lot of I call it a lot of houses around me that they made their own homemade commodities tax free. Yeah, they own their own business out of a kitchen, you know, and one day 2 people did not agree on a price, and they got into a fight at the OK Corral, and it was before school one day, and parents still dropped their kids off with me, even though one of them was hiding out around the school. And that was absolutely insane to me. And I'm like, and they would not let us close down the classroom for the day. That was bonkers to me. And we didn't have the liberties of an SRO. It was just me and a pair of scissors that I'm very much willing to take care of business with. But with 3 and 4 year olds, like that's crazy to me. Like, we're in a single classroom by itself with a front door and a back door, and nothing but, not even a deadbolt on the doors. Just can you imagine? That was bonkers to me that day. So I'm just like, the very least you could do in a public school setting is give an SRO that's just a post. That's just a post. That was insane to me. And these parents that would defend it, I'm like, I'm sure there's the nicest guy on the face of the planet. But you've even got SROs there that aren't the nicest guys on the planet. And they're a post, but I don't see why they're there. It's leadership. It's a leadership issue.
Ben said teachers need to be able to have some liberties with themselves.
I'm on the fence about that. One of the comments said that teachers should have the liberties to carry if they so wish. I'm in a gray area about that, because I certainly know teachers that should not. I'm just going to leave that there. I know teachers that absolutely should not.
The thing about response to a place like a school, because I mean, it's on base. In my case, in my experience, we were on base, so it's a little bit different, but it's also not. If I have to respond to that location for an active shooter, because it's a school, I expect that the only people that are going to be armed that I'm going to encounter are bad guys.
Yeah.
So if there's a random teacher in there, I don't have an issue with it if they've qualified on that weapon and remain qualified on it, and all of the possible responders are aware that there's an armed teacher in there, which cannot happen. There's too many logistical hurdles to that. Because if I'm responding to a school, an active shooter event at a school, which that I was talking about earlier, and anybody I come across with a weapon, they're not breathing anymore. I'll guarantee you that.
Yep.
And because my interest is protecting all of, not just the kids, but all of the civilians that are in there they are my responsibility. I don't have time to, who are you? Show me some ID, any of that.
Yeah,
no, I'm
looking
not
for a
playing.
badge and all that. Yeah. And even so, it could be the teacher that's the problem to begin with.
Exactly. You have no idea.
Yeah.
Real quick, I want to hit a couple of questions I saw pop through.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't remember the username. So the level four Association of Chief of Police certification, that was something that was one of Nick's self-accolades. There was a question, what is that? So, because he mentioned that's the top level. Just like nurses, EMTs, and anybody else that has a license typically has to earn CEUs every year to maintain that license. You've got to have some continuing education documented to maintain your certification. For chiefs of police, they can go above and beyond and take additional classes and hit these milestone levels. Level 4 requires, I know it's more than 200. I believe it's 240 hours of continuing education that is designed for the head of an agency, a chief of police, a sheriff, something like that. Once they've taken 240 hours, that's not in 1 year, it's a cumulative. So once they hit 240 hours, they get an extra certificate that says you're now level 4. I don't remember how many hours are required for the others, but obviously it's less than 240. 240 is the magic number, and you get level 4. He's not the only one on the planet that's done it. He might be the first one in Walker County history that did it. I don't know, but it's very common to encounter a chief of police who's not, 30 years old and has been in law enforcement for a while that has a level 4. The other question that I saw was, now I'm drawing a blank. It was from the same person. Oh, the physical fitness requirements. That's one that I have a big issue with, because it's something that, and Nick has already done it.
That was me.
A lot of people will fall back on it. And what Nick said was, you have to meet the physical fitness requirements when you go to the academy, but then once you get on the job, there's no requirement you can, get fat and nasty and lazy and so on and so forth, not be able to run a mile anymore, not be able to do X, Y, Z. That is not true. The requirement is the requirement. It's just like the Marine Corps. To become a Marine, you've got to pass the physical fitness test. Actually twice a year, you've got to repass the same test. You've got to still be able to run 3 miles in X number of minutes. You still got to be able to do the crunches. You still got to be able to do the pull-ups. You still got to pass the combat fitness test. You have to do all of that every year. It's supposed to be the same way for law enforcement. The problem is, a post doesn't have the staff, and me as a taxpayer, I don't want to have to pay extra taxes so that a post from Montgomery can travel all over the freaking state and make sure that every a post officer can still meet the physical requirements. That once they graduate from the academy, maintaining that standard falls on the agency. In this case, the sheriff is supposed to get his people together and make sure they can still pass the physical fitness requirements.
Oh.
So it's not an excuse that you can say a post doesn't inspect. Well, they're not supposed to. You're supposed to inspect your people and hold them to the standards. So if you're a sheriff, if you're a chief of police, and you've got a 5'8", 400-pound officer, that's your fault, not a post.
Oh, okay. So if you got a linebacker on there, okay.
It's the officer.
So it lays on the officer and the sheriff. Okay, I see. All right.
And honestly,
I gotcha.
the physical fitness requirements for a post, in my opinion, are a joke. All right? They're a joke. I think they're even I don't even think they're as strenuous as the Navy and Air Force's physical fitness requirements. I don't expect everyone to pass a Marine Corps PFT. All right. I'll be honest, I had trouble doing it, especially my last few years. After I was 30, running 3 miles in 18 minutes wasn't happening. I'm not doing it no more.
I hear a lot of it's about I got a bad knee, man. I don't know. Like I did a 5K when I was chunky chunk, and that was rough, man. Okay, I don't know. The SRO at our kids' school is a larger man, but just like I've told my husband, at the end of the day, there's not a kid there that's gonna bust out and run a 10K and he's gonna have to chase him. That's not gonna happen. At the end of the day, he's gonna have to wrestle him to the ground, and that's gonna be the case. Well, at the end of the day, he's a linebacker, okay, and he's gonna be able to overtake him pretty quickly and pretty easily. So that's not really gonna happen there because he's really fantastic at making really good relationships with those kids. And in the best case scenario, and this is wonderful about him, he's fantastic at that. I would rather have an SRO that's so wonderful at making relationships with the hardest hearted, most difficult children that come from the worst backgrounds. I mean, these are kids coming from alternative school that the hardest family situations, everything like that, and helps turn their whole life around and helps keep them out of situations like that than one who can run 3 miles. I'm not that interested in that. So that's not that important to me in that scenario. I would rather know that he didn't unalive a mentally ill person in their own home for no good reason. Personally, that's just me.
Alan, I don't know if you know it. In the Marine Corps, the requirements didn't change the older you got, but the scoring system got a little bit easier. So, like if you were 18 or 19 years old, you had to be able to run 3 miles in less than, I think it was 21 minutes was the maximum time for an 18-year-old. For a 31-year-old, it was like 28 minutes. So,
oh, you can count me out for that.
But now, so the reason I got so passionate about that is because that was part of my job the entire time I was on active duty. You know, it's not like Headquarters Marine Corps was sending people out from Quantico all over the planet to make sure Marines could still pass a PFT. It didn't work that way. It fell on the commanding officer, but everything worked downhill. Once I was an NCO, I had troops under me. It was my job to make sure that they could pass the physical fitness test. And I had to come up with plans for that and how we would do that. And sometimes some of that involved going on 8, 9, and 10 mile runs, because if you're able to do that, maybe not at speed, all right? When I was running 10 miles, I wasn't running at a 18-minute. I wasn't doing it at that pace. But the whole my point is, and I would explain this to my Marines, the Marine Corps doesn't really care if you can run 3 miles successfully in X number of minutes. What the Marine or do 20 dead hang pull-ups. What the Marine Corps cares about, and they're using that test to make sure you meet a standard, they care about your stamina and upper body strength. Because in a combat situation, if you don't have upper body strength and you don't have stamina, you're not going to make it. Mm-hmm. If you can run 3 miles in 20 minutes, enough stamina to carry this 50 cal machine gun and a box of ammo 1 mile relatively quickly.
Yeah.
And it's the same purpose for a post. They don't care if you can run 1.5 miles or 1 mile in X number of minutes. What they care about is if you get in a foot chase, that you're not going to pass out after 50 feet because you're wearing a gun belt and got all of this other crap on you. Mm-hmm. That's the reason. They've got to make sure that you're able to perform in an emergency. Mm-hmm. And if no one is monitoring that after you graduate from the academy, that's not APOS's fault. That's not the AG's fault. That's no one's fault except the leader of the organization. And Nick doesn't have to get out there and run a PFT with his people every freaking week or once a month or anything, but he's got to delegate that down the line. He's got to tell a captain or tell a sergeant, these are the people that work for you on your shift. This is what I expect.
Well,
Tell somebody
here's
to get back in shape.
Here's the thing. In that interview, though, that was just one of a billion things that he said to that Sheriff Mack that was absolutely revolting. Revolting, okay? All he was looking for was support. He was willing to pander everything. That was worse than usual. I mean, you'll say whatever on that little dumb campaign page he is, that irritates the life out of me. But that Sheriff Mack interview was just the worst of the worst. That was probably the lowest I've seen him go. The worst, the lowest. First of all, that Sheriff Mack, his whole little website just meant to rake money from senior citizens. If I'm just going to be completely bald, the government's going to take your PPUs. The government's going to take your money, but give me $11 a month. You should put your money in gold, but not me. I'm going to take your paper money. Eagles and Chuck Norris and Trump and everything else. My God. Okay.
When you really get into what they believe, I've got friends that are out there, even by my opinion, and I'm pretty lenient.
Right. I'll entertain lots of thoughts, and I'm friendly. Okay. Come one, come all. There's a lot allowed in my wide circle. Okay. And few allowed in the tight. Okay. But that was insane. That was so offensive. That was just bonkers. That was crazy. And then this sheriff was so he didn't do his research on Nick. He didn't look into any single thing. All he was out to do was just push his own narrative about how he went up head to head against the Clinton administration so many years ago, and getting that out forever until the day he slips on a banana peel and right into the grave. He's gonna push that narrative. Lord help me, Lord don't listen. Okay, Jesus don't listen. But that's exactly what he's doing. Okay, that's all he's interested in, and he's gonna pander to and recruit. That's what he's doing, recruiting all these little dumb sheriffs all over the freaking country, and all the ones that he can find something like, oh, you need help? Oh, you're in trouble, sheriff? Well, what do you need? You need an article? You need money? What you need? This paper money that I'm taking from these senior citizens that don't know no better, that I'm going to scare to death. The organizations that also come to try to, squeeze little teacher pennies, as I call it, out of teachers, because everybody's after a teacher. Well, no, I'm sorry, but if you do your job right, and you're not over there smacking kids and, yelling at them and whatever, and I understand stuff happens, but if you're doing your job right, not everybody's after a teacher either, okay? Everybody calm down. I tell baby teachers this all the time. I don't mean that insulting, but I tell teachers, if you do your job right, generally not everybody's after you. If you respect parents, if you respect the community, that you're reflecting the values in, not everybody's after a teacher either. Everybody calm down. Well, he gets in that interview and he says one revolting thing after the other, lies through his teeth. So, and that was just one, that was crazy to watch. That was crazy to watch. And that sheriff, the second he offered him campaign money, I about threw up. About throwed up. That's what these kids like to say to me. Miss Cheryl, I'm gonna throw up. Well, don't throw up on me. Get to a garbage can. Dead gum. But that made me sick. And I'm thinking of, okay, you've got the most campaign money in this dad burn election. Okay, like anybody can look it up and see. You don't have to take my word for it. But I mean, nobody, for heaven's sakes, take my word for it. Anybody can look it up and see. But you got the most campaign money, and here you've got this goober over here. You talk about a meddler. This from way over here, asking if the county is conservative. If the county is conservative, if that wasn't a leading question right there, this dude wanted to know if he comes down there, if he's going to be supported or not. Okay, if he's going to be supported, and I'm like, what this dude don't understand is that the county is sick of this. The people are sick of him, except for his little cult-like people that follow him. Okay, they're sick of all this. Little babyface Nick likes to boast that he's the youngest ever. He's the youngest. He just loves the way he looks. God knows he loves his angles. He knows them, right? There's nobody in the whole county that thinks he's cuter and prettier than he is, or whatever, or he thinks he is. He loves a good picture opportunity. But everybody thought that because he's young, or he was young, barf, okay, that he's not one of the older ones that was part of this from the get-go, right? Not realizing that he had the same old money in his pockets that all the rest of them had. It's crazy that I hated that interview. I hate it so bad. But he just plows through like nothing ever keeps happening. But something you said to kind of, not switch gears, but something you said stuck with me, because people keep asking me this. They're anxious. We talked about this. They're anxious with the indictments coming in. Like, when's he going to get on one? When's he going to get on one? And just like you said, the wheels of justice are slow, but they're crushing. And I was like, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So I know this, like, people keep asking me, like, do we think there's going to be more indictments? When do we think Nick's going to be on one? Do we think Nick's going to be on one? What say you?
I think he will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that what we're seeing right now is exactly what the federal government does with the, if you've ever watched, you line up all the pawns first. And then you start lining up the junior officers, and then you line up the senior officers. And once you get all of them, it becomes even easier, because the case you have to make is that he created the situation that led to this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you can't do that with, hey, we indicted 5 patrol officers. Now we're going to go after the sheriff. He's not going to get convicted.
Right.
And I saw where Carpenter's attorney said that, no one at the Justice Department has asked Carpenter to squeal on anybody. Well, he was a captain. They're not interested really in him squealing. They're just interested in taking him out.
Mm-hmm.
And Jotty. But I guarantee you there's some of those plea deals have involved, tell me what you know about this. Tell me what you know about that. So, yeah, I think they will. I think they'll go after him. But then the fallback is, if the feds don't go after Nick, the state can.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's just as much, if not more, that the state could go after him for. And and he admits it himself.
Yeah.
The thing that I would really want everyone in Walker County to take a look at, if you like the guy, if you think he's done a bunch of good and you want to vote for him, go freaking vote for him. I don't care what you do. All right? What I'm trying to point out to everyone, though, is if I was still with the fire department, I'm a freaking firefighter. But every time the bell rings for a house fire, instead of being at the house fire, I've got the fire truck on the other side of town arresting dope dealers. Am I doing good? Am I doing good for the community and for the town? Absolutely. I'm taking drug dealers off the street. Mm-hmm. The house burnt down while I was doing it, though. What are you going to judge me on? Mm-hmm. I'm employed as a firefighter. I'm supposed to be doing firefighter crap.
Yeah.
Nick is a sheriff. He's supposed to be doing sheriff crap. The law tells you what the crap is that he's supposed to do. His job description is in the Alabama Code. Mm-hmm. Putting SROs in schools is great. Taking inmates to church, okay, if that's your thing, fine. It's a recognized rehabilitation step, so I get it. You want to get drug addicts off of drugs, great. I want that too, but guess what? Those are great things for a social worker to do, for a preacher to do, and the sheriff can do it too. But if you're doing that instead of doing what your job description says to do, you shouldn't be sheriff.
Right.
And your job description as sheriff is in the law.
Right.
There's no requirement for a sheriff to put an SRO in a school in the law. There's no requirement in the law for you to set up a level 1 treatment facility in your jail. There's no requirement in the law for you to make sure your inmates get religious exposure. Right. None of that is required by the law. Mm-hmm. What is required by the law is the stuff that he has completely failed at. Mm-hmm. Making sure the inmates are treated in accordance with state and federal law. They get their mental health, they get their medical, they get screened, they get their medicine when they need it, they get food, all of that. And I understand that people are going to die in a jail. It happens. We have people die in DOC all the time. Mm-hmm. If they got beat up and killed by another inmate, that's the environment that they are in. That kind of thing is going to happen. Can you prevent it? Yes. Is it still going to happen periodically? Yes. Mm-hmm. All right. But someone dying in your jail of sepsis, that doesn't occur overnight.
Right.
Someone dying in your jail of hypothermia, that didn't happen in 24 hours.
No.
And that's the point of all of these indictments and all of these federal charges, is it didn't just happen because Nick was on vacation and there's a couple of kids running the jail that, just wanted to act up. Mm-hmm. That is an indicator of a systemic problem. What you're not seeing in these indictments and all these court papers is the number of complaints that inmates in the jail make. And they don't go anywhere. They end up not going anywhere, but they can make a complaint to the federal government that they are being mistreated. They're not getting their meds. They're not getting their doctor's appointments. And there's a ton of those. There were a ton before Nick was sheriff too, as there should have been. And we found that out. The jail's full of black mold. Well, guess what? If you go and pull those 1982 complaints, they're talking about black mold in the jail. They're talking about flooding in the jail and stuff like that. So that did not stop with Nick becoming sheriff.
Right.
Yeah, he painted the jail. He replaced the locks. Then he started putting cameras in and doing all of these great things that he's supposed to do as sheriff. The funny thing to me is that the complaints from inmates not getting their meds, not getting to doctor's appointments, not getting fed, being punished in the jail, all right? I have a big problem with that. Yep. I have a big problem. And I'm going to tick some of my friends that are law enforcement officers off when I say this. Do you know what the name of the motorcycle club for law enforcement officers is?
No.
The Punishers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Punisher, computer cop.
Yeah.
Law enforcement officers are not punishers.
Right.
Corrections officers are not punishers. The only legal entity in the United States, that's it. Right. It's a court. So when you've got law enforcement officers and corrections officers running around saying, I'm a punisher. That's the mentality that they had in Nick's jail.
Mm-hmm.
And when you read some of these plea deals, that's what these guys are telling you.
Right.
He shot at one of us, so we weren't going to give him proper treatment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that means you're punishing him. He hadn't even been convicted. He's charged. He never got convicted. What happened to innocent until proven guilty? Well, it don't matter because we got this thin blue line bullcrap. You're not a punisher.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I swear.
I've got a big problem with that motorcycle club being called the Punishers. They can do whatever they've got a lot of great programs. I admire a lot of they do more around Christmas time for Toys for Tots than a lot of places do. They bring a lot to the table because they care about their communities. And I don't think most of them realize that the name of this club doesn't make any sense.
None whatsoever.
The day someone with a badge thinks they're a punisher is the day they need to take that badge off.
Exactly. Can you imagine all that he wants to brag about everything that he does for drug addiction and everything. Can you imagine how much good he could do so much better? You take all that stuff away and just feed them. And just feed them correctly. Feed them the way that they're supposed to be. And I told him I wouldn't name any names or say where they're from or whatever. But when I'm talking to a different sheriff in a different county and they don't do all those things, but just feed them. But just feed them. Have a nutritionist come in once a month, okay? Create the meals from scratch. The inmates are gaining weight. And the biggest complaint is that, as he put it, it's not mama's portions, meaning they're not getting seconds and thirds, but it's actually the portions that they're supposed to have. It's a full plate. It's balanced meals. That, as he put it, this was hilarious to me, that the Yankees don't understand a tomato sandwich. And with mayonnaise and salt and pepper and everything, big old thick slices of tomato, and they don't understand the delicacy that is. But they learn real quick, and that's after they have a time or two, after they have two of them on the plate. And that's hilarious. But this other story that I've heard, this was a warning shot, as I called it, where I've got a story from a healthcare professional that does not work. This is the reason they do not work in the Walker County Jail anymore. That this was happening way back. This was how many years? 4 years before Tony Mitchell. That the correctional officers inside the jail were using temperature. I'll put it this way: using temperature as a punishment to an inmate that had a medical condition, specifically had diabetes, and they were withholding insulin. They were withholding food, and that inmate's blood sugar had dropped down to 30. And they were keeping that inmate out in the breezeway in nothing but boxer shorts. And when that healthcare professional had said, "You better do something right now," and they specifically made the comment, "Not until he's learned his lesson." And so that person intervened and saved that person's life, and does not work there because of that. And and that was absolutely horrific. And that should have been a warning shot. That should have been something. And they notified, like the jail officials knew that. So that should have told everybody that this was being done. This was being done. So so this was just that was horrific for me to hear.
It's been very difficult for me to deal with everything that we're talking about with the jail, and I want everyone to understand why, and this may help them understand why I have said some of the things I've said, posted some of the things I've posted. First of all, I started out in EMS. right out of high school. But my mother, who is now retired, her last position, she was the director of nursing at Kilby for DOC. So the policies and the procedures, how things are supposed to work with intake and screenings and all of that, I'm very, very familiar with how DOC does it, and the way, and a lot of those policies and procedures were learned the hard way. DOC learned them, the hard way. But I've seen it. So I get the perspective from my mom, when she was doing that job. But when Kilby had to send an inmate out, if they had a medical emergency at the jail, or even if they just had a doctor's appointment, it was on the ambulance that went and picked them up and took them to their doctor or took them to the ER or whatever. And so I'm familiar with that side of it too. I reached a point where I still had my EMS license. I could still do that if I wanted to, but I moved away from that. I stopped transporting patients, stopped treating patients, unless it was something that I encountered as a regular firefighter, or at the time I was doing a lot of hazmat. The reason I did, I made really good money, and I had a lot of good times, a lot of good memories running 911 calls in the city of Montgomery as a 19, 20, 21-year-old. I mean, that is the most fun that someone that age could probably ever have, because you get to see everything. And you're answering 911 calls. It was just, you never knew what you were getting into every time the radio went off. I stopped doing that when I woke up, and I woke up figuratively. I was on my shift, and it occurred to me that there had been over the years a dramatic change in my perspective. And I went and talked to my mom about it. And I told her, I am not looking at them as patients anymore. They're just runs. In other words, the first few years I was doing that, there were nights I couldn't sleep after a call because it just tore me up what had happened, and when I stopped, when I took myself off of the ambulance, it was because in my heart I didn't care for those people anymore. Yeah. I was just going through the motion. I didn't do anything wrong. I was still following the protocol. They got the treatment they need. I got them to where, I did everything that I was supposed to do, but I didn't care anymore. I had become calloused. And a lot of that is because I'm sure everyone can imagine what the 911 call volume is in the city of Montgomery. It's pretty huge. So, and that's a type of burnout that you see in a lot of people in EMS, where the patients stop being patients. I took myself out of that. Someone said because I became numb, yet you're absolutely right. I knew what I was supposed to do to treat them, and I did that. And then I got them to the hospital, turned them over to the ER, and I never thought about them again. And that bothered me. So I stopped doing it. And I think the same kind of thing happens in law enforcement. They get burnt out and they forget where they are. They forget the role that they're supposed to play. And the same with corrections officers. I did corrections work when I was on active duty. And I told you earlier, I was down in Gitmo with terrorist detainees. They were not well behaved. They spit on us. They threw things at us. They called us names, but we didn't speak Arabic, so we didn't know what they were calling us. But that kind of stuff went on, and it took a lot of strong leadership to keep an 18, 19-year-old Marine from retaliating when a terrorist spit on him.
Yeah.
That was his perspective. They were detained there. It didn't matter if they had done anything or not, or been convicted or anything. You were brought here in an airplane and put in a cell, so you're a terrorist to an 18-year-old. And when you pull out your willy and pee on him, the first thing an 18-year-old Marine wants to do is curb stomp you.
Yeah.
And the only way you prevent that is very strong leadership, very strong and consistent training in the use of force, escalation of force, and things like that. And having the conversation over and over again that I just had on here. You're not here to punish them. Their punishment is being here.
Yes.
Not anything you do to them. The mere fact that they are here and their family or anything they care about is somewhere else, that's their punishment. You are here to make sure that they don't kill themselves or hurt someone else. Other than that, you're feeding them. This was a year after 9/11. We're feeding them. We're making sure they have their prayer time and able to do what they want to do religiously. And I was older and a higher rank. I was in that leadership hierarchy that had to make sure that those 18, 19, 20-year-olds under me understood the expectations, even if they didn't agree with them.
And what an interesting
And we don't have that going on there.
What an interesting position to be thrown into, where maybe this is a weird character thing about me. I guess I don't even know, but it just goes to show just what a different paradigm that a different country, a different set of values and culture that they were raised in to believe. That just shows, that just really highlights that. Because, like, our cultures are so different. Like, they were really raised to hate us. And it could be even past, I mean, how would we even know this? But it could be even past a religious way. But really, really raised to hate us. So, can you imagine how bad you'd have to hate somebody to pee on somebody or to spit on them? Like, I don't hate anybody. I really don't hate anybody. I couldn't even say that I hate anybody like in the Walker County Sheriff's Office. Like, I don't hate them. I don't hate anybody. I hate the behavior. I hate the corruption. I hate that. I would never spit on anybody. Like, what a behavior to do. I mean, pee on somebody? Like, what a wild thing to do. Like, what a wild behavior to do to somebody. So yeah,
and it's hard. And I mean, think about the position I'm in. You know, I'm the one that's telling these junior Marines that work for me what the expectations are, and I need them to believe it. You know, so that when it happens, they do the right thing. I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure I agreed with it in that situation.
Yeah, you had to tell yourself that.
Yeah. Because if it had been me instead of Lance Corporal, whatever his name was, and you whipped it out and peed on me, knowing me, I might do a few months in the brig just for funds. Yeah, just to sit and stare at yourself for a while, like, whoa, self. But that's one of those aspects of leadership that Nick doesn't have.
None,
Even though I might react the same way, I can't. And
right.
I've got to make those under me believe that I'm not going to do it either. Because I set the example. Whether I meant to or not, they were watching me all the time.
Yes.
And learning from me. So you know how when you do public speaking or teaching or whatever, everyone has pet phrases. And in instructor training, in the instructor training courses in the military, that's one of the things that they're trying to teach out of you. Get rid of those pet phrases, you know. So, but you never get rid of them, especially if you're from the South. And I taught a lot of classes while I was in. I was constantly training other people, and I had little pet phrases. And one of them was, when I would give the class a break, it was so they could go to the bathroom or they could smoke, because almost everybody smoked, right? And so when I would finish a block of training and put them on break, I would tell them, smoke them if you got them.
Yeah.
That was one of my phrases. Well, I said that for years and years and years. And one time after I moved up, I was no longer the one on the podium all the time anymore. I went out to observe some of my Marines teaching, and I had one of my favorite Marines that ever worked for me. He's a Navajo Indian, great guy, and he was teaching one of the classes. I'm standing out there watching him. He goes to put him on break. This is I didn't know that he had been watching me and learning from me when I was doing, you know, what I went out there to watch him do. So he puts him on break, and he messed up the phrase. So instead of saying, smoke them if you got them, he said, I'm trying to remember now what it was.
Oh, no.
Oh, Lord, how am I forgetting this? Paula, are you still on? Put it in chat. What did you say? I don't know why I'm having an old man moment here.
Oh, no, I got to hear this.
I would say, smoke them if you got them. And he said,
oh, here we go.
Yep. If you smoke them, got them. That's what he said.
If you smoke them,
got them. And that was when I learned that these junior Marines watch and listen to everything I do.
Yeah.
And they want to mimic what their leader does. And that was if you smoke them, got them.
They do. They mimic everything. Yeah, my little bitty kids. My parents tell me all the time. They're like, oh, they talk about you all the time. I have my little phrases. People that follow me. I didn't know that the things that I say were not things that people like don't say all the time. Like, all my flabbers have been gasted. Like, I thought people say that stuff all the time. And, like, I didn't think it was so unique, like me just speaking cornbread and what else did my kids say that I say? Like, all kinds of junk, like first time, every time. And, what else? Like, I say to them, you gonna learn today. And, like, all kinds of little things like that. I actually had a video made. I still got it on my phone. It was the cutest thing, where I had all my students, like all of them, like one at a time, say all my little sayings. And it was the cutest thing. It was hilarious. Yeah, schmurder, schmugs.
TikTok will.
Yeah, TikTok will be funny about
TikTok
that.
Will turn the live off
like, yeah, and I've gotten overly funny about it. Wine and grapes, PDF file, which people have warned me about. Like, somebody else gave me that one. But I had a teacher one time in high school where he was the coolest thing ever. Oh my gosh. Oh, we just love him. And he was a social studies teacher and a football coach. My husband, he says the funniest thing. He's like, why is every single social studies or history teacher a football coach? And it tickled me. Or a driver's ed or whatever. But anyway, he was an excellent history teacher. But you know what? He used to be he was a Marine. That tickles me that you had said that to me before, like you had said before about history and everything. But he was an excellent history teacher. I learned so much about history and social studies from him. But he had his phrases, and one of them was mark it in blood, and that meant highlight it. So, and I used to think that was great. But so everybody's got their little sayings, and I'm like, man, like don't ever lose those sayings. But I understand too, as far as public speaking, that that maybe that might be a more professional thing to get rid of your little personal sayings. But I will say this. As somebody who has been professionally developed more times than I want to count, which means I've been bored to tears because I'm a squirrel, okay, where I just want to stare at the ceiling like, oh my gosh. I wish more I wish more people that they would bring in to talk to teachers would be appropriate professional speakers for teachers. Would realize that we're really all just flamingos. Okay, I call us flamingos. We're really just more extroverts. We really just want to be. We really want to be talked to like yes, tell us things we want to hear, motivate us a little bit. Don't speak down to us. Don't tell us stuff like, remember your why. Oh my God. Really? Really? We're in it for the money, okay? Be so for real, okay? Yeah, that's another one of my sayings too, be so for real. But especially when we first come back over the summer, we're all mad because we're having to put on real clothes again. We're all mad because we just got off our trash TV. Don't try to throw big words at us, okay? Just don't do it to us first day. But anyway, back on topic though. Back on for real things that we're all here to hear, but and not on teacher gripes. But anyway, but. Yeah. What were we on before we got off on teacher gripes and things that gripes us?
Squirrel.
Yeah, squirrel. I'm a squirrel. But I'll look through some of the things. I think we're all squirrel. Yeah, it's on the test.
Yeah, we if what I had just said was test material.
Stomp your foot. Yeah, they better listen. Mm-hmm. They better listen up. But yeah, about his leadership, and it all bleeds down. I had talked to, again, that the other sheriff, and I specifically asked, because out of fairness, I don't want to blame something on Nick. That's not something his fault. I realize that these problems go way back before Nick. I mean, when you hear about Hatter and Paul Kilgore.
Be careful saying his name, he'll sue you.
Allegedly. For God's sakes. Okay. All right. When you hear about those things, that was before Nick. That had nothing to do with, when you hear similar problems. There's so many things that didn't start with Nick. He perpetuated a lot of those things. Yeah. But there's budget things that didn't start with him, and there's not easy answers to it. There's some of those things that he can't fix immediately. He could help it. There's relationships with a lot of those people that he said that about relationships, that he's always had good relationships with the mayor and the council and whatever. And I'm like, well, that's all. You don't make good relationships with anybody else, pal. Like, you've burnt those bridges with everybody else. Like, that's crazy. But he don't want to talk about that. But when I was talking to the other sheriff, I said, so fairly, how, if you're not in the jail all the time, how do you know what's going on there? And I mean, just give it to me straight. And he said, well, I hire good people, first of all. Like, I know who I hire. And he said, and secondly, I create a system where the correctional officers can come straight to me. There's a system of anonymity where they can come straight to me if they need to, where there's no repercussions when they do. And he said, and then the inmates can come straight to me, and there's no repercussions. And he said, and the families know that they can come to me, and I hear their complaints, and they know that. So, and I believe it wholeheartedly. When I've listened to these inmates, and they have, and I told him that, I said, I just want you to know that these inmates have absolutely no reason to lie about you, because they have no reason to protect you. They would tell me the whole truth, so help us God. And they've all said that you're, I talked to two of them, and they said that they're fed good, that you've stuck your neck out for them. And the last thing they want is to go back to a state penitentiary. They have seen some horrible things. They've told me some horrible things that the correctional officers have done to others there that they've seen. They told me things, and I'm sorry. Somebody said something to me in one of my comments on the videos. They said, have you lived under a rock? And I'm like, I've never been to jail. I'm sorry. Like, I've had 2 speeding tickets my whole life. And I what do you want me to say? My face, I could never play poker because I'd get a good hand and be like this. I used to love to watch celebrity poker, and it would tickle me how many celebrities are terrible at poker because they're just like me. But I'll never not be shocked at hearing stories straight from inmates about what they've seen in either a state prison or but what they've seen COs do to inmates. That's horrible. I'm just a normal person. I don't see these things. I don't. So Kevin says I expect me out of everybody, and that disappoints me every single day about people. That's hard to get hard to. So, and so when people come and tell me, when I've seen pictures of the meals out of Walker County Jail, and they're scant. So it's no surprise to me that they would throw real food between inmates and just say fight, or that they would do that. It's no wonder to me. I mean, they're desperate to be fed. It's no surprise to me. I mean, the food I saw was 2 pieces of bread, about a tablespoon of peanut butter, about a tablespoon of jelly, and 8 corn chips. And that was supper. I mean, how does a grown man live off of that and not lose weight? And these are people in addiction. How does that not breed corruption there? So, and on another note, we talked about the commissary. Nick told a family that he doesn't allow visits. Well, another jail told me also that they don't allow visits, because their reasoning behind it was because it takes a lot of manpower to take inmates to a place where they can visit. That takes a lot of manpower. And also, they didn't bring up how things could get smuggled in. They didn't bring that problem in. But they brought in a very logical reason that a lot of families, it interfered with their real day-to-day lives that visiting hours did. They don't get off work in time, and they weren't ever able to actually go visit their loved one in jail. So that prevented that, like, altogether, just to be able to do video chats. So they actually liked it better. And they allow 2 free visits a week doing the video chats. I don't know if Walker County does the 2 free visits a week at all. I don't know if they do or not, but it is expensive. But as far as the commissary is concerned, the more that I gain information about this other jail, it's a third party. and they take the item straight from this third party commissary straight into the hands of the inmate. So the COs are not touching it at all. And so it prevents anybody from saying that, oh, the COs are putting anything into it. So I thought, I completely understand now. So this third party commissary is charging more because it's not like they're just going to Walmart and picking up groceries. They're having to test everything. They're having to run background checks on everybody that works for them. And I'm going, I understand a little bit more now. It's terrible, but it's just the nature of it now. So I don't like it, but also I kind of get it. I have a friend that she worked in a different prison, but she also I think she worked in St. Clair. But she said when they used to allow care packages to come straight from families twice a year, that they would slip in those items into Cracker Jack boxes and make them look like peanuts.
Yeah.
So, and I'm over here just innocent, like a little doe-eyed deer to all this. I haven't been where you've been, Michael. I've been where terrorists are trying to pee on me, okay? So it's all very interesting to me. That's why I think, people are in the comments, like somebody said earlier, they said, I'm learning so much. And it's fascinating to listen to people who've had different life experiences. So I'm a lifelong learner.
Oh, me too. I learn something every day.
Yep, me too. And these families in Walker County sure have given me an education. I like to hear from them. They always say the same thing. They'll fill up my ear and then say, I'm sorry, I've just talked your ear off. And I'm like, nope. I'm glad you told me. I appreciate the information. So at the end of the day, it keeps me safe.
Yeah.
Because I go shopping there. I have children. I don't slouch around. I don't slack off on it. So they always ask me if I'm scared. Never. But I'm not stupid. So I aim for torso. You know what I'm saying? Like center mass.
Yep.
Nope. So yeah. So yeah, I saw let's see. Rodman was up there. Rodman's a good buddy. He was a buddy that was, I considered a threat from that SRO, what happened to him. He's a firefighter from Piney Woods. But yeah, a big misconception that's went around was, I'm saying from him, but because I'm not sure, but was that sheriffs were able to keep the money after they fed the inmates, that they were given an allotment to feed the inmates, and then they were able to keep the rest of it. That was ended in 2018, I think. 2018.
Yeah.
So that was ended then.
That was after two counties split a tractor trailer load of second.
Yeah, after counties, after they split they split a whole trailer load of corn dogs, like a reefer trailer.
3 corn dogs a day.
Feeding them 3 corn dogs a day, and then they just pocketed the money. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Robin Green from Saragossa.
Yeah, Saragossa.
That's
Yeah.
where he's firefighter.
Oh, he's at Saragossa. I'm sorry, not Pine Woods. But yeah, that's where I officially met him face to face, was at Piney Woods with that first fundraiser that I went to. So that's where I met Nikki Slicky face to face. like a feral cat. So
With chlamydia.
he was just he was
Cats can get it, right?
creepy. That and leukemia and a whole bunch of crazy mess. But yeah, he was hip scopping to just every single table, like, and having pictures taken.
He puts his hand in other people's hands.
He puts his hand in every single hand he can get into. I tell you what, I was telling Amber this too. I said, he's a manipulator, but he's also, I got to give him some credit on that. He's a politician, and that is not a compliment. Like, he knows how to politic. It gets you elected. It gets you there. When he's out, knocking on every door, ringing every single doorbell, and making his little commercials and doing all that. And it's difficult to compete with that. It's getting your face out there. Somebody said in a live we did earlier today, a good buddy that pops on my lives a lot, he said, I ain't never seen a sign and think, that changed my mind. I think I'm going to vote for that person. And the only thing we had to say about that is it's name recognition, because what is it? 30% of people vote on name recognition alone. And just because they've heard that name pop up. And so that makes, that's another dangerous thing about him is his signs are everywhere. And on that note, like, I think we talked about it earlier, I'm not sure, but we just think, people are just changing their mind and taking their signs out of their yard now, or they're getting run over, and he's keeping up with it and seeing it and thinking that they're getting stolen and whatever. And his post about that, his whole, taking the high road thing. And there's a creator now that's on TikTok now that's, it's that Agent Baker that got in the comments and said something on that campaign page, and Nick came back with that article that was written about him, and he jumped off that high road real quick, didn't he?
Oh yeah.
He certainly don't live there. Do you know Agent Baker? You ever heard of him?
I know who he is.
You know who he is?
Yeah.
Like, had you heard of him before?
No.
No? Okay. Just seen his TikToks and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
He had started popping up on my feed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I read the article, and I'd said it read like a Reddit post, like fan fiction or something. I was like, what in the world?
Yeah.
But I had told yeah. Like it was written like, I used to work at the library a long time ago, and you read that kind of stuff, and it's like some of the most popular books you'd ever read were poorly written, and it read just like that. But anyway, so why is he so threatened by this guy? And I really do think it's the physicalness of him. He either loves men that are, I've said this before, he either loves men that are built like that because he thinks he can recruit them, or he absolutely is threatened by them. The irony of that. So, I've been contacted by, somebody else who said that, he tried to recruit her ex-husband because he was built like a brick house a long time ago. Back when Nick was, built like a shrimp. That before he was working out.
Yeah. Working out.
Taking pictures at the gym.
Taking something else in the gym.
Yeah, I know. But so but yeah, and I've said it before too that he's threatened by this guy because of his physical size. Of course, he's threatened by you. He's threatened by Amber. I think he's fascinated with me in a gross way that doesn't irritate me. It grosses me out, makes me want to barf. The way he acted at me at Piney Woods was disgusting, and his I'll leave this part out, but it was gross. And then but he either loves women or hates women, in a very extreme way. But people have asked me if he's threatened me, and I'm like, no. But he let me know that night that he's seen all my stuff. He mentioned like every single, you talked about phrases, baby gap, shirts too tight, all that. So, but he offered to deputize me, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm just as qualified as anybody else you hire. But he needs to know too that he talks too much. You know, he's got friends that really aren't friends. You know, Kevin says I'm disarming, and not in a flirty way, but men find it. It's like drunks in a bar. Like they start spilling their guts, and they've said too much before they even know it, and that's what they do. Yeah, and they start spilling their guts. I could work for the FBI. Just let me in there. I'll have them confessing to junk they ain't even done yet. What a useful skill that is. But I don't even mean to do it either. I just be talking to folks. But yeah, he really don't have as many good friends as he thinks he does. He's really not as smart as he thinks he is either.
No.
Mm-mm. But
I really do wish he would keep his mouth shut. I have other things I'm trying to do.
You really do. You really have more important things you're trying to do. Yeah, would you like to share, or would you like to keep that secret?
What's that?
What you're trying to do. What things you would like to do.
I've got all sorts of stuff. You talking about podcast stuff?
Sure. Or anything else? Would you like to be a pilot?
I am a pilot.
Farmer?
No, but that comment's right. He just can't keep his mouth shut. But someone said earlier that he's not talking about the things he should, and I'm glad to see someone realize that. I hope more people realize that. Like I was talking about earlier, he's, it's great to do all these wonderful things for the community and this, that, and other, but if you're not doing what you were hired to do, then how do you have time to do that other crap?
Right.
You didn't run to be elected as a social worker. You ran to be sheriff. So be the freaking sheriff, and then you can do social work crap later. The other thing he doesn't realize, apparently, I'm guessing from the way he talks and his comments, is that all of those duties, you will not find anywhere in the state law where it says a deputy sheriff is responsible for X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Or a corrections officer is responsible for ABC. The law says the sheriff is responsible, and he can hire deputies to assist him.
Or if it's important
He's
to him,
responsible.
hire a social worker.
Yeah.
Hire a mental health team. Can you imagine? Can you imagine what all embarrassment, what all money that would have saved if he would have hired just a few of those people? Like, what all that would have saved him if he would have just hired a few of those people. Forget about transporting them here or there for whatever reason. Forget about the Mercy Project. Whatever, in my opinion only, allegedly, whatever that really is. But forget about all that. But what that would have really saved him if he would have just hired those people to do all the things that he says he cares about, but really doesn't, in my opinion.
Yeah. And complaining about the budget, you know what? I don't want to hear it. We all have to do that.
Yeah.
We all have budget issues, even if it's just at home. I mean, I would say that very high percentage of people in Alabama on a fairly regular basis have to decide at times, am I going to Piggly Wiggly today or am I going to pay the light bill?
Yeah.
That's a budgetary decision.
Yeah.
And if the county commission only has so much money, and they're not willing to do something, then you still have responsibilities you have to deal with. I mean, what would he do if the county commission said, "Hey, we didn't have enough revenue this time, so we can't give you any money for doing stuff in the jail, to include feeding inmates"? What would you do? The law doesn't say the county commission is responsible for taking care of the inmates. It says the sheriff is. So if the county commission can't afford to give you money, what do? You close the damn jail and send those people to another county.
Right? I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking the exact same thing. In the spirit of fairness here, because we were talking about Walker County as a whole, and not just Walker County. However, Jasper's in Walker County. Everybody's asked about J.C. Poe too. Okay. Everybody's asked about J.C. Poe. He doesn't wind up in the news. But, I mean, what is there to know about J.C. Poe? Is there anything to know concretely about J.C. Poe? Is there anything concretely to know about J.C. Poe that's documented? He's been there for forever. He's been a cop for forever. We know that.
I mean, I can tell you one thing, and I'm not endorsing.
Yeah, I don't want to. Me either.
But I can tell you. So we know how the videos of Tony got out.
Yeah.
Well, before they got anywhere important, they were sent to some other corrections officers in the county, basically to ask, does this look right to you? Right? So when Nick and his band of buffoons found out that had happened, and this is all stuff most people have already read, Carl Carpenter took Karen's phone and went through it and knew that she had sent those videos to some other people, and he knew who those people were. So what did Carl do? Have you heard this?
This is more, and understand me when I'm saying this. I think I would have asked this whether he was running for sheriff or not. Okay? Because I think people want more information on this, because Nick is constantly throwing him under the bus in this whole election. And he would do that whether he was running or not. So he keeps saying this is a political hit. It would have been a political hit to him whether he was running or not, I believe. Because he would have said, you know what I'm saying? And I think people need to hear this to go ahead and like just shut this mess down, like even more so. So they already know Nick's a whiny baby. They know this, but that's the reason why I asked, because, you know, I look him up and it's like you find like one article. So yeah, go ahead and inform me how this whole Carl Carpenter,
Your buddy Rodman already knows. So
Okay.
Carl Carpenter lied to a judge to get a search warrant for those other people's phones.
Right.
And those other people happened to work at the Jasper PD. So he lied and got a search warrant, went to Jasper PD, and he wanted those people's phones, and JC shut that crap down. And when it made its way back to the courthouse, my understanding is all of the judges told the sheriff's department, we will never issue another search warrant for Carl Carpenter.
Gotcha. Yes. And see, Georgia just said, they're going, what?
So I don't know JC. I haven't talked to him. Like I said, I'm not endorsing anybody.
Me either.
But he's got the sense to know that wasn't right, and he took care of it. Yeah, I agree. There's more that he should have done. But I was momentarily impressed by that.
Right. That's fair.
Little old Jasper chief of police had the stones to tell the sheriff, you ain't pulling that here.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is one thing, like, I want to hear from everybody. Like, when I talk to people all the time at Piney Woods, like whenever I'm out and about. And even when they message me, I'm like, so how are you feeling about all four of them? I can put on my TikTok account all day long about how I feel about Nick, about how I feel about, you know, Alan. Like, people ask me all the time, how you feel about Jason, how you feel about JC Poe. I don't know much information about JC. I've met him, but, I mean, Kevin knows how he feels, but upon first reaction, meeting, but I don't push my opinions out on other people. I don't endorse anybody, but, I know how I feel about Nick. I know, but when I talk to people, I ask them how they feel, and I've been getting their vibes off the people. So that's why I ask, because just like Georgia said, she had no idea. So yeah, that's why I wanted to ask. When you this is another phrase of mine, give it a goog about JC. You look up articles, the only thing negative you can find is where his officers were doing that little, whatever in the photo op, which was stupid at worst, but I mean, whatever. But, and how he handled that. And I was glad that he handled that in a sensible way. It was dumb, but, they shouldn't have done it, whatever. It wasn't professional, but whatever. He recognized that it wasn't racially, whatever, motivated, in my opinion. But that's the only negative thing you can find. And I mean, that was it. So, yeah, he's pretty much stayed out of the news. So I haven't talked to him yet. So, I've talked to others that are planning to talk to him, and, so, I think I'm going to give it a minute before if I plan on talking to him. I don't know. He doesn't need me. I don't know. Alan and Jason didn't need me. They reached out to me. Who am I? I don't know. I just got a little TikTok account. I don't know. But It was fun. It was fun. I always think it's fun to talk to people. But I definitely think it would be a lot different to talk to JC. I think it will be the most fun of my life to talk to Nick. When Kevin cornered him, which was hilarious. Who knows if he'll actually stick to that because we were in public. But anyway, so but yeah, that's but yeah, somebody said he's a quiet, serious man. That
Yeah.
somebody said he's the most qualified. But yeah, I mean, 51 years of being in, being in this. I wondered if he's been out there campaigning. But oh yeah, so Nick's starting a podcast because he's going to make bukus of money.
Yeah.
He's going to be rich, because he wants to satisfy all the haters and retire early. He says. Indeed. Yeah.
I'll be holding my breath.
I know you're sitting on a pile of gold over there from everything you've done and everything Amber's done. I certainly am. Just from my piddling little 3 months from, talking smack. A pile of gold. Mwahaha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for it. So is Amber.
I'm waiting for the lotto numbers to hit. But yeah, I still have my day job. Yeah. But yeah, he has no idea about any of that stuff, and yeah, and he has no idea. He's already out there like making his little commercials and I don't know how he thinks he's going to have time to do any of that stuff or what he's going to talk about. Like that he thinks people will be so interested in. I have no idea. I mean, what would y'all want to hear about? I have no idea. Like his long and illustrious career, his workout routine, where he shops at, like how he trims his beard, where he goes to the barber shop at. I know where he goes. He goes to Napoli's over there in Jasper. I know that. That's the same place I go to, coincidentally. I would love to run into him there. Best day of my life.
I've heard stories.
Yeah, his favorite snack. I don't know. I have no idea. God knows he puts out every bit of his personal information, like everything about his kids, foolishness, tomfoolery. That's the dumbest thing in the world. If ever,
Like I said, I said in a post earlier that I've seen that so much, especially in DC. Somebody that is so desperate to keep their position, elected position, they'll post pictures of their family. They'll tell family stories because it's heartwarming. It strums the mothers of America's heartstrings. And anyone that attacks them doing that is going to immediately look like the bad guy because obviously you're against family values and stuff like that.
yes.
I just go right back to, I keep saying it over and over again. Look at it the same way you would if you were someone's supervisor or someone's boss at work. Are they doing what's in the job description? And if they're not, they don't need to be there. If they are, how good are they doing? Are they doing things to improve?
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere in the job description does it say any of that crap he keeps posting it. There definitely isn't anything in the state law that talks about a sheriff needs to set aside X number of hours a day to take his kids out to put signs in someone's yard.
Yeah.
That should not matter at all.
It would be different too if his kids weren't minors. Like,
Yeah.
it would be very different. But they're minors, and he talks about where to go to school, and I'm just like, you're a dadgum, you're a law. I mean, not law. No, you're a sheriff. You're
polarizing thing.
I can't even imagine. I can't. That's the stupidest thing. Oh, that's so dangerous. People are crazy. But
I want to know how he's got time to do all of that.
I have no idea.
I don't get it.
I have no idea. But
my kids are grown, and I don't have that kind of time to do all of that.
No. I know. We were just thinking, like, God Almighty, like school. I've told people on here, if y'all start seeing gaps between like what I'm doing on here, I forgiveness, y'all. Forgiveness. Like, school's about to start. He's a band booster officer. That like football season's about to start. I mean, look, he's got 2 roles in the band boosters. If they suck one spouse in, they've sucked us both in. That's it's all encompassing. Okay, that's a lot. And then Nick acting up every single day. There's so many other things, just like you. There's so many other things I want to do. There's so many, like, just like Amber had posted earlier about that real estate agent up in Huntsville that went missing back in December. I wrote down so much stuff in my little binder that I wanted to say about that today. Never got around to it. Never did. Had so many other things that I had to do. Like, I'll tell them about like how I'd never, like, they just announced that like that he went and got 2 how do I put this in a diplomatic way, 2 extracurricular workers. Okay. Yep. And they very much planned on robbing and torturing him. And now he's nowhere to be found. And I would have never guessed in my whole wide world that that's what would have happened to him. Like, again, blabbers were gasted. Had no idea. Okay. If all the things that robbed, sure, murdered, sure, but never would have guessed that it had something to do with that. I asked my husband last night, I said, am I just naive and been married too long? Is extracurriculars so hard to find these days? I don't understand. With online dating and all that people have access to, is that just so hard to find? I don't understand.
I'll tell you, my flappers were gasted too, mainly because see it rubbed off.
Right.
Burning has occurred. He's a good-looking guy. Right,
that's what I said. I said the headshot looked pretty good. He was a good-looking feller. I mean, you're telling me like he wasn't ugly? What's going on? I didn't understand. I was so confused. I did not understand. I did not understand. I was so confused. And it said it was a 2-for-1 deal. Deceased. What is the world up to, dude? I read that and thought, what is going on? And it wasn't even like it was some high-class joint. Like, one of them, this is ugly, Lord help me, but like they was at the liquor store, and then one of them like passed away right after that from doing the extracurriculars herself, like the homemade commodities. Yeah, buy one, get one free. Oh, Lord have mercy, y'all. Oh, God Almighty. We all not going to heaven today. Lord. Okay. But he was a good looking feller. And I've just been married too long, dude. I'm telling you, I don't know. And told me, he said, I reckon it is too hard to find. I don't understand. Like, maybe it's just.
Just go around asking people.
Yeah, he said, what do you do? Just go around asking people? I don't know. But yeah.
That's a crime, I think.
And then something else. Finally, that DHR worker in Birmingham finally got charged. When the government investigates itself, they usually find that they didn't do anything wrong, right?
Normally.
But, but what took them days to decide that she did something wrong and gave her a Class B felony, which carries to 20 years, right? They arrested him right then. And I'm like, why is the standard different for a government worker than it is for the layperson? That's the point I was trying to make. Cop in Georgia leaves a dog in a hot car, hasn't been arrested yet. Don't understand. Somebody said, has the body cam footage from Homewood been released yet? They've not put it out to the news yet.
LEA and the SBI released it to Homewood.
They released it to Homewood, to the Homewood PD.
Jefferson County.
To Jefferson County. Jefferson County who?
Prosecutor and agent.
Yeah.
The DA, Danny Clark.
Yeah.
Danny's going to let the family look at it. I know that.
Yeah.
I don't know if, after all the uproar, they probably will release some of it.
Yeah.
To the public.
Yeah. Didn't they rule a long time ago, though, that the smell of skunk is not a reason to check somebody's car? It's not reasonable suspicion. I can't remember if that was a real thing or not.
I've got a training course that covers that. I need to go and look again. I believe it is, though.
Well, it is a reasonable suspicion. Okay. I couldn't remember or not. Like, some people say it is and some people say it isn't, and I can't remember or not. You think if they can smell alcohol, and that's you know what I'm saying? I can't remember. I don't know. I'm not a cop. What do I know? But either way, it's sad.
The problem with that is you need more than one person that smelled it.
Okay. Yeah.
For the court.
Yeah.
Because if it's just you, you could be making it up. You can still be making it up if you get your partner there and they say the same thing, but at least then you've got two affidavits.
Yeah. Then again, it's kind of, I hate to say it, but like I'm from Tarrant. Like, you ever been through Tarrant before?
Oh, yeah. I did surveillance in Tarrant.
No, you didn't.
Oh, yeah. Didn't I tell you about that?
No, you didn't. I'm so curious.
I stood out like a sore thumb.
You did too.
No, you didn't. Tarrant's a wild, lawless land. Have you seen the videos?
I'll tell you what I drove.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell me.
For that job, I took my BMW, a black BMW with limo tent, illegal tent on the windows that my son used to call the dope mobile.
How many people
No one bothered me.
When was this? Like, what year?
2019 or 2020.
2020. Oh, okay.
You moved out in 01.
Yeah, I moved out in 01. No, 02. Okay. 02.
Yeah, you were long gone.
Yeah, I was long gone. But yeah, I've got a lot of friends' parents that still live there. So, because they can't sell their house.
Wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because ABC Cope like tanked their home value. So
Yeah.
I mean, what you gonna do?
But yeah, it worked. They
Yeah.
left me alone.
I bet. Have you seen the videos from the town council meetings?
I don't think so.
Oh, you're about to be entertained.
Town council still filled with old
You are about to be entertained. Like, I'm gonna text it to you like tomorrow. I'm not gonna do that to you tonight, okay? Because I know it's late. But there are Facebook groups that are dedicated to just the town council. I'm gonna call it arguments. It's just arguments, like between the mayor and the council members. Wild. They're arguing over everything. Like, it's kind of Walker County-esque. And wild enough, some of the people are like, when I was there from high school, some of these people are like my friends' daddies. It's crazy. It's wild. Like, a lot of old racism still left behind too. It's absolutely insane. Like, they'll be reading off Facebook quotes, like Facebook posts and stuff from some of my friends' daddies. And I'm like, oh no. Like, stuff that makes us all call our mamas and daddies. And like, we'll be regaling each other with stuff. One of my best friends lives in New Orleans, and we'll be talking to each other about the stuff on these Facebook groups. It's wild. Like, one of the council members and the mayor got into a fist fight out in the parking lot because the mayor said something real ugly about the council member's wife. Yeah.
He called her something.
He called her something ugly. And he did it right in front of the police chief. So the council member got arrested, like, right then. And just out of sheer pettiness, they towed his car out the parking lot. And so, I mean, they could have left it there. You know, they didn't have to tow that thing. So they towed his vehicle. People in the comments like, okay, this is Tarrant for you. So they towed his vehicle out of sheer pettiness. And so the council member, I call him Terrible Tommy. Okay, Terrible Tommy bails out. Of course he does. So he bails out, gets out, goes to the tow yard, and gets mad that the tow yard tries to, charge him for towing the vehicle. I mean, right? And so he just grabs the keys and leaves. So he gets arrested again for the second time in 24 hours for theft of services. I cannot make this up. Wow. And this is the norm.
So what was the charge for, I guess, basically telling a mama joke?
The judge, like, they arrested him for assault, and he goes before the judge, and the judge told the mayor, said, well, if you would have said that to me or whatever, like, they said it was justified and threw it out. Like, they said they were fighting words.
The mayor,
because the mayor
would do to his wife.
The mayor told the town council member what kind of nasty things he would do to his wife. Like, sexual things. Like, it was nasty. And the judge said, I would have hit you too, and threw it out.
Wow. Yeah, send me a link. I like that homework.
Like, the group is called Tarrant Off the Chain.
Wow.
Yeah, Kevin calls me his hood rat.
Yeah.
Like, we couldn't have grown up any more different. He grew up on a goat farm.
Just a Blunt County goat farmer.
Yeah. You said something about yourself. He's just a Blunt County goat farmer. Like, you grew up on 10 acres and helped, people that come up to, y'all are going to get upset. He helped people that come up to buy goats for meat. He helped them process. He can process a goat. He was helping do that when he was, 10 years old or something. So we couldn't have grown up no different. The most wildlife I saw in Tarrant was one time when I was little, a possum got caught in the garbage can, and I thought it was a cat, and tried to pet it, and found out real quick that cat was mean. And thank God my daddy didn't let me pet it. So
Wow.
so yeah. So, my friend Delilah's here. She said she's in Tarrant pretty often, no problems. Well, yeah, Delilah, that's because you're tough as nails, okay? You got to know this about Delilah. I say all the time, I ain't never been scared of no man, and I'm not going to start now. People ask me, aren't you scared of Nick? And I'm like, heck no, okay? Heck no. But, however, there are a handful of women that I'm not scared of, but I'm very glad they're my friend. Because they would make for me, just might be one of them. I love you, Delilah. I love you. Delilah is one of them kind of women that will come in clutch for you, okay? And I'm proud to know her. I'm proud of her. I know a couple of teachers that would do the same. As long as you're not a moron, they'll stick up for you. I've known the principal the same way. Okay? Yeah, women can be ruthless. All right? They can be worse than men. So, yeah, I'm proud to know Delilah. So, yeah, I believe it when she goes through Terrence, she gets scared to squat. I'm not, but then again, I grew up there. So anyway, it's 11 o'clock. If it's too late for you, I totally understand.
Yeah, it's past my bedtime.
It's past your bedtime. I totally get it, dude. Yeah, it's past mine too. Especially during the weeknights. If it's 9 o'clock, I'm in bed. Yeah. But I've had the most fun.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's been so
I
much
appreciate
fun.
you doing it.
I appreciate you doing this. I squealed a squeal when you suggested it. I ain't gonna lie. I told Kevin, I said, OMG. Oh my gosh. Like, I would have never thrown the idea out to you and Amber, but because I know, like, she would throw herself under a rock. or want to murder me, maybe. I don't know. But it's been so much fun. I appreciate you so much. And I think people really did. They learned a lot, and I think they liked it too. So, well,
good. I hope
we might have to do it again one day.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm game.
All right. So I hope everybody else liked it too. So yeah, look up him on Facebook and look up his TikTok. Y'all follow him. Super smart. Okay. Somebody said he's cute. Don't do that to him. All right. He'll turn red in the face. All right. So y'all have a good night. All right.
All right. You too.
All right. You have a good night too, Michael. It's been fun.
Yep. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.